Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to be looking at how you represent inequalities using diagrams. So we have some examples here where it says represent the inequality on the number line. So here's an inequality, here's a number line, we just need to draw a picture to represent this. Now when you've got an inequality like this, where it shows a -3 less than or equal x less than 1. This simply means that x is in between -3 and 1. However, this sign here means it can be equal to 3, whereas this sign here means it cannot be exactly equal to 1. So what we do is we take the two numbers on the end, so -3 and 1, and we draw a circle at -3 and a circle at 1. And the line in between them represents any number in between -3 and 1. But as we said when we spoke about this sign, we can be equal to -3 because it's less than or equal to. And since we can be equal to, we're going to shade in that circle. However, the other circle we cannot be equal to. We cannot be equal to 1. We can be any number up to 1. And to represent that, we leave this circle open. So for this next example, we have less than or equal to on both, which means we can be equal to -2 and we can be equal to 4. So we put a circle above -2, a circle above 4, and we draw a line between the both of them to represent all of the numbers in between -2 and 4. And we can be equal to -2, so we give that a bit of a shade in, and we can be equal to 4, so we shade that one in as well. Like so. So in summary, put circles above your two numbers, draw a line between them to show that you're looking at the numbers that are between -3 and 1, or whatever numbers you have, and then shade in the ones where it's less than or equal to, but the ones where it's just less than, leave it open. Here are some more examples. Now these are slightly different because they don't have in between the two numbers. We have here x is less than 0. That just means any number less than 0. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and it goes on forever. So for this one we still put a circle at 0 like we did before, and because of this symbol is less than rather than less than or equal to, we'll leave it open again. But we want all of the numbers less than 0. So we put a line like this, but we finish it with an arrow rather than a circle because it doesn't stop at -5, it goes on forever in that direction. So for this one here, x is greater than or equal to -3, so we have a circle at -3, and that one needs to be shaded in because it's less than or equal to rather than just less than, or greater than, sorry. And the arrow is going to be all numbers bigger than -3, so these ones here, and I finish off like that. Make sure that when you do these in an exam, your arrow goes all the way to the end of the number line. Here are 4 questions for you to practice on representing inequalities on number lines. Press pause, write down your answers, and if you press play, I'll tell you what the answers were. So for this first one, we have circles at 0 and 4. They're both open because it's just less than signs rather than less than or equal to, and a line connecting them. For this next one down here, we have a circle at -4 and -1. We shade in the lower of those circles because of this less than or equal to sign, and then draw a line between them. For this one here, we have a circle at +1. We shade it in because it's greater than, and then an arrow going all the way to the edge here. And for this final one here, we would have -2, we have a circle there, we have a circle at 5, and the one at 5 is going to need to be shaded in because it's less than or equal to rather than just less than, and then a line joining them up. Okay, so for these examples we're going to do the same skill again but in reverse. So we've been given a picture and we need to write down the inequality. So you'll remember from the previous ones that when we have two circles like this, we have x in between two numbers. So I like to write the x in the middle first. Then put on some inequality signs either side of the x, and those signs will always be pointing to the left, so less than signs. Then I look at the circles and decide, do I need to put a less than or equal to or not? So this one here is an open circle, so I leave that as a less than. This one here is a shaded in circle, so it will be a less than or equal to on this side. And then finally you put the numbers, so -4 here, and then 2 up here. So similar again on this one, we put x in the middle, we put our symbols pointing to the left like this, we look at the circles, they're both open, so they both stay as less thans, and then we put our numbers, so we have a -2 on the left, and we have a 1 on the right. Now 2 more with the arrows, so the open-ended ones. For this one, you're going to do the same thing. So we have x. However, x will always be on the left, and then we need to decide what symbol goes here, and the number will be -1. So I want all of the numbers here that are lower than -1, so I want -2, -3, -4, and so on. So I want x to be less than, and it's not less than or equal to because this circle's open, not shaded in. For this one here, I have x and I have -1 again, and this time all of the numbers are greater than -1. So I have this symbol, and it's greater than or equal to because the circle is shaded in. Here are 4 questions just like this for you to have a go at them. Press pause, write down your answers, and then press play, and I'll tell you what the answers were. Here are the answers then. So for this one here, we have x, we have less than or equal to on the left and less than, and then we have -3 and 0. For this one here, we start with x, they're both shaded in, so they're both less than or equal to. We have a -3 and we have a 3. For this one here, well, it only goes in one direction, it's x is less than 2, and it's not less than or equal to, the circle's open. And for this final one here, we have x in between 2 and 4, and both of these are less thans because the circles are open and not shaded in. That concludes this video on inequalities diagrams.